Good evening, everybody. Public speaking is a waste of time. We're all here at Toastmasters to improve our speaking skills. I've been here for 2 years. I haven't been coming to every meeting for 2 years, but I'm sure I'll be reminded of that from a meeting later. I've heard great speeches. I've heard not so great speeches. I've seen people improve. I've seen the most impressive changes in people of how they've grown in confidence and how they've become so much more than they were when they started here, and it's fantastic to hear Graham do his first speech, and there's clearly lots of potential there with Graham. I think one of the things that he's got, he can make people laugh, and I think that's really, really important. People tap into their imagination and they express themselves. They do this by taking action, by actually coming here and doing it. And of course, we give feedback, and that's something else that really helps people to just develop their speaking skills. So what makes a great speaker? I'm sure if I went round the room this evening and said, who would you feel is the best speaker that you know, we'd probably come up with a similar list of names, maybe Barack Obama, maybe Sir Winston Churchill, maybe Nelson Mandela, or Shirley Williams. But let me ask you, is it the person, is it the voice, or is it the content? If we think about the person, I'm sure there's some great people that you know, that you'd look at them and you'd think they've got charisma, they've got the looks, they're successful in business, but they're not a good speaker. For example, Richard Branson, a very successful businessman, but very hesitant when it comes to public speaking. Or Diana, Princess of Wales, charisma, looks, and very popular. But when it came to speaking, you could tell it wasn't her own words that she was speaking, and she was very uncomfortable. So is it the voice? And if you just reflect for a moment and think of some great voices that you know, maybe Margaret Thatcher, or David Attenborough, or Oprah Winfrey. You know these people are easy to listen to because of their lovely voice. But then you'll find that there are some voices that are not so good, but still the speaker is great. For example, Janet Street Porter. She's very powerful in what she says, but she's not very easy on the ears at all. Or Diane Abbott, another great speaker. Or Gordon Brown. His movements and his intonation, his body language, so uncomfortable and so very difficult to listen to. So it comes to the content. Perhaps it's the content that makes the great speech or the great speaker. Think about President Obama. He used the words, "Yes, we can," to inspire a nation to vote. Or Sir Winston Churchill, with his famous phrase, "We will fight them on the beaches," which he used to motivate a country to keep fighting in the face of adversity. Or think about Tony Blair. He used the very memorable words, "the people's princess," to unite a country who were experiencing grief at the time. But can it be possible to use the content of your speech to engage an audience? In 1984, there was a study done by Dr. Max Atkinson, and he did the study in the programme World in Action, which is a TV documentary, and the programme was called Claptrap. And he took a lady called Anne Brennan, who was an aspiring politician. She was a housewife, and she was working in local politics, but she was very, very nervous about making a speech. Her goal was to deliver a 3-minute speech at the SDP conference in Buxton. He sent her off to see a voice coach, Cicely Berry, and Cicely Berry worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company. Cicely gave her lots of exercises to do to help her develop her voice and to help her speak to a group of people, and she was she was absolutely petrified because she was going to be speaking to 400 or 500 people. Cicely taught her to speak low and slow and to use pauses. That would help her connect with her audience and let the audience absorb what she's saying. Anne Brennan also went off to see John Heritage from Warwick University. John showed Anne some tricks and devices which helped to gain applause, and these are called claptraps, which is where the phrase claptrap comes from. So 3 of the top tips of the top claptraps that John taught Anne was 1, a 3-part list or a rule of 3. And if you think about the speech Shakespeare wrote for Julius Caesar, friends, Romans, countrymen, that's using the rule of 3. Or Barack Obama, who used the phrase in his speech, we must pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin the work of remaking America. And then the second trick was to use contrastive analysis. For example, John F. Kennedy, with his speech, asked not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. The third one is alliteration, which is using words beginning with the same letter. And I've also I've got an example of alliteration coming up. The result of the training was that Anne Brennan stole the show at the SDP conference. She got a standing ovation. She got 10 rounds of applause. She got warned for being over time. Yet she connected with her audience, and she got the support of her audience. So we're on this journey to become better speakers. My advice is to be real, to be respectful, and to be relevant. Be you, not who, and be true to your aspirations. Public speaking is not a waste of time. Thank you.
I just sat there and listened to that for a lot longer than 7 minutes.